Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. I'm personally doing fantastic because school is over for the summer. A lot of you probably will recognize this background. This is essentially, I guess you'd call it my high school bedroom at my parents' house. Since school is done, I'm here for a couple weeks and then I move again for my internship for the summer to a completely new place. I think I've mentioned it before, but I'm moving to Connecticut for the internship. And then a few months after that, it's back to my last year of grad school. So if I'm moving a lot, that's why. So today I am going to finally, emphasis on finally, because it took me 4 months to read this. I'm going to finally be reviewing The Goldfinch, but I read the first half as a physical book and then I listened to the rest as an audiobook, which I will say up front, I highly recommend. The audiobook was fantastic. All of the different accents were wonderful. But so let's go ahead and get into the spoiler-free review. So as a brief summary, at its core, The Goldfinch is a coming-of-age story of Theodore Decker, as I've said before, bougiest name on the planet. When the book starts off, Theodore is 13, living with his mother in New York City. His father is an alcoholic and has left them, so they're going out for the day. His mother adores art. Well, and I won't say how this happened, but his mother passes away, and the rest of the book, the first half kind of takes place when he's 13 to 15, moving from home to home with different families, and then the second half of the book deals with when he's, I don't know if they ever say the exact age, but in his late 20s, working in the antiques art world. So I do want to point out this is much more of a coming of age story than it is sort of the underworld of stolen art and that whole scene. The inside flap of the book makes it seem like the emphasis of the story is going to be on the latter, but it's definitely more so a coming of age story. I think he's 15 or younger for over half of the book. So now I will get into some of the pros and cons, and I'll start off with the cons first, only because I had mentioned one thing that irritated me about the book a little bit in previous videos. So one of my main issues with the book was pacing, because oftentimes it feels like a Judd Apatow movie and that just certain scenes are dragged out a little bit too long. In particular, there's a section, a lot of people just call it the Las Vegas section, that just went on forever. And I think the thing that made it drag on wasn't even her writing style or the things that were happening. It was just the fact that the actual setting didn't change. And I'm not talking about the setting of Las Vegas, I'm talking about the setting of him literally just being in this one house in Las Vegas for just hundreds of pages. And I had that same issue towards the end of the book. I won't explain why, but he's sort of trapped somewhere and that section felt like it went on forever. My second and only other issue with the book, because I will say up front, overall I really enjoyed it, was the women. You have such a wide variety of male characters, both good and bad, with vibrant, eclectic, wonderful personalities, and then you get to the women and they fell really flat for me. It just felt as if Donna Tartt spent so much time crafting these male characters, and when it comes to the females, they just didn't have a lot of depth, and the depth they did have I don't think was expanded on or fleshed out well. So now I will get into the pros, which were many, because overall I did really enjoy this book. Aside from a couple of pacing issues, I really adored the writing. It's difficult to describe because the writing wasn't similar to J.K. Rowling's writing style, but at the same time it just had that quality where when you read it, it just feels like home. And I know that sounds incredibly cheesy, but even when I was only 5 pages into the book, I already felt nostalgic about it, which was a really strange feeling. I will also point out that this was the first Donna Tartt book I've ever read, and if you are a person who's possibly intimidated by her books because they are quite lengthy, you definitely should not be. The writing style is very easy to get through and actually quite quick to get through. I just kept stalling for weeks at a time because I didn't like the Las Vegas section, but overall, in my opinion, it's quite a fast, easy read. And I will say, even if you do put it down for weeks at a time, it's not the kind of book where when you pick it up again, you're going to feel the need to go back and read the previous 50 pages to figure out what was going on, because the whole book is very introspective and you're just in Theo's head. I found myself, even if I put down the book, I think I put it down for 1 month at a time period, and when I picked it up right away, I was perfectly fine again. The book was also incredibly heartfelt. I don't think I've felt this attached to a narrator as I have been in a really long time, and that's saying a lot since generally, I mean, Theo was 13 to 15 for a huge portion of this book, and I don't know what it is, but generally I don't enjoy children's point of views. I think they either sound too much like adults or too childish, which I don't enjoy reading. I understand they're children, but I just personally don't enjoy reading that. But Theo was a perfect balance of having really interesting perspectives on the world, but he also didn't feel like a John Green teenager who was just too mature for his age. So overall, I would highly recommend The Goldfinch. I won't say it's one of my favorite books of all time, but I do understand why so many people have fallen head over heels for it, and although I had a couple of issues with it, I definitely think I will look back on it fondly. So if you are looking for a lengthy coming-of-age story, I think in particular summertime would be a wonderful time to read this and just really dive into it for a couple of weeks. So if you've read this, let me know what you think of it. Also, I'm going to be heading to the library in a few days, and I am going to have so much more time to read this summer. I've had barely any time this year at all, so please put any recommendations for my summer reading at TBR, and maybe I'll film that as a video. So please go ahead and put some book recommendations down below, and I'll see you guys soon.